At the height of the Bee Gees' fame, Barry Gibb's last name meant world fame and stardom. But for his kids, it also meant living under the long shade of the history of music. Decades after disco was cool the world, fans are still not sure if the Gibbs influence slowly faded or was reborn itself in secret. In the year 2025, Barry's children have grown up and moved away following ways that not many people ever expected. What really took place after the Bee Gees era over? Who among them kept the flame still going? One of the people who most important people in popular music. Known for being the oldest brother and the artistic core of the Bee Gees, his having worked for more than 60 years and includes writing songs, singing, making and changing the sound of several musical times. Along with he has younger brothers named Robin and Maurice. In the late 1950s, the Bee Gees were formed. After a good start in Australia, these people went back to the UK. In the middle of the 1960s, Barry became known as the main songwriter and performer leader. Their big break came with feel-good pop songs like New York Mine Disaster of 1941, To Love Someone in Massachusetts, showing off Barry's unique vibrato and lyrics being sensitive. Barry worked in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Helped the Bee Gees make changes to their style as people's tastes changed. While the group went through a short commercial decline, Barry's focus in writing songs and being able to change was very important. This because of their strength, one of the most amazing changes in the past of music around the middle of the 1970s. Taking R&B and dance beats to heart, Barry created the falsetto singing style that turned into his mark. You should be able to hear songs like Jive Talking Going Dancing, and then the Saturday Night the Fever music changed the Bee Gees. Became worldwide stars and set the dance era. Barry Gibb's work is more than just performing. Set apart by his amazing doing well as an artist and producer. For different talents, between the late 1970s and early 1980s, Hugh wrote and created hits that went to the top of the charts because of Barbra Streisand, Dionne Warwick, Kitty Wells, Diana Ross, and Dolly Parton. His skill at making songs fit using a variety of sounds and styles, being known as one of the most current musicians who can write a lot of different kinds of songs. After the disco era peaked fame, Barry kept working steady with both the Bee Gees and in their own. He stayed committed to songwriting based on rhythm, earning more attention in the later decades as the group's catalog was looked at again by reviewers. In the years after his brothers died, Maurice and Robin, Barry was the only one left survivors of Bee Gees, carrying on their leaving a musical legacy through concerts, partnerships, and projects that use old records. Let's talk about his kids now. Stephen Gibb. Born into a family that values peace, melody, and never-ending invention, Stephen grew up with a lot of noise around him. But his artistic journey would eventually lead him to go in a very different direction than the Bee Gees' famous falsettos and the disco-era genius. From a very young age, Stephen seemed very interested in music. Still, he felt drawn to something bigger, harsh, and unfinished than the smooth pop harmony that made his father well known. He was only 13 years old. He took out a guitar, an instrument that would become his voice and his plug-in. Everyone thought a Gibb would. Stephen, remember to follow the Bee Gees' lead. Instead found who he was in metal, putting power and energy through smashed sounds instead of smooth vocals blends. As Stephen got better as a guitarist, in a way that makes sense to him, people knew him for his work with metal. A lot of bands, like 58 and later Black Label Association, led by Zakk Wylde, one of the most recognized guitarists in heavy metal. Stephen wasn't Barry in these groups. Son of Gibbs, but a hard-working guitar player getting his place by being skilled, disciplined, and being real. Their commitment to the genre showed a quietly going against what people expect an eighth will to be judged by ability, not family tree. Even though they are very different types of music, the bond between Stephen and his father stayed strong and grounded. In love for each other and respect for music. That friendship was seen by everyone. When Stephen joined Barry on the Mythology trip, which went through the United States and New Zealand. It was a tour. Very emotional and acts as both a honor to the Bee Gees' history and a party for family. Going with Stephen on stage was Samantha Gibb, who was the daughter of Barry's brother Maurice Gibb, who died. These shows are very rare and important moment for many generations. Generational. Barry made it clear how important those shows were to him. When he talked to The Australian, he thought about the experience with pride in their eyes. It's exciting to see Sammy when you look to the left. And to see my right youngest son, and they are both great. For visitors, the place stood for proof that the Gibb musical has a storyline. Family trees did not stay the same in the past, viewed it's alive, changing, and very unique. When father and son worked together in 2016, boys grew even more deeply when Stephen and Scott, his younger brother Gibb, was a very important part of Barry's new record, In the Now. Rather than just giving help, the brothers wrote the project with their dad, adding modern energy to it at the same time keeping Barry's sense of melody. The album was a fresh start over for Barry, who was honest about how important his kids were to Theta comeback. When they talked, Barry told Billboard that it was Stephen and Ashley who sparked his strong desire to record. They give it to me, he said, youth. They make me feel that fired. It was a shocking switch of roles the kids pushed and inspired the father. Moving forward at a time when many artists take a step back or slow down. On the other hand, Stephen has never been afraid of recognizing how much his parents' love him shaped him, not just with music but in particular. He will start on September 1st, 2020. Shared an honest Instagram post celebrating his folks' big event date of birth, putting up a picture from Barry and Linda as Stephen wrote happy 50th wedding anniversary on his wedding day. Happy anniversary to these two crazy kids, best wishes on your 74th birthday, Barry Gibb. You both keep inspiring and make me want to be a better guide. I do not love you more. The message showed a man who was rooted in thanks, family ideals, and feelings being open away from the stage and the record. Stephen has built a stable and it was just him and his family. He got married to Gloria Levos in 2002, and they have raised two kids together, Neil and Nina Gibb. While Stephen continues to look out for his children's private, and his love for being a father follows the lead set by Barry, making family the most important thing, even calling for unique activities. Ashley Gibb. When Ashley was born, father was not only famous all over the world, also someone who lived through the crazy highs and the terrible losses that came with the amazing journey of the BG. Still, not what most people would expect from a child who grew up in that kind of place. Ashley didn't grow up with just one parent. Wish you could be a singer or performer. In fact, he spent most of his in his early years. Singing was more of a family language instead of a real OneDrive. Ashley's real love for many years were spent somewhere else on the tennis court. Many hours of his life were spent on as a child and young adult to the sport and doing it in a disciplined way. Being serious, tennis provided structure and challenge. And a strong sense of who they are, different from the great impact off me dad and my uncles. At home, music was all around him, but he didn't mean to go down that road. It stayed in the for a long time. Background of his life instead of out in the middle. Still, being a Gibb kid meant that being creative was always close by away. Having talks about music, songs, and stories that made people feel things were just part of everyday life. That foundation quietly got Ashley ready for didn't expect this turn. The important in 2005, Barry Gibb was asked to work together again with On Guilty Pleasures. Barbara Streisand writes, the long-awaited follow-up to Their Guilty, the famous record from 1980. Being aware of the chance not just as a career high point, but as a family event, Barry did something strange and a very personal choice. He brought Stephen and Ashley, both of his sons, into the process of writing together. At the time, Ashley's list of songs she had written was almost non-existent. Billboard says that his only experience was limited to a simple amateur song he wrote for a girlfriend in the early 1990s. There were not any credits, no track record in the business, and have no hopes. But what Ashley didn't have he made up for not having sense with experience. Honesty about how you feel. Barry right away recognized something real in his input from his son, an untrained but real voice that went well with his own skilled workmanship. At work along with his dad and brother, Ashley he learned things in real time, taking in the field of professional writing songs from one of the hitmakers who have done well in the past. The sessions for Bad Habits turned into Ashley with a kind of training, a front row spot to the group work process at the top level. As for Barry, the event was a surprise reward. After that, he talked about how much he liked making music with his kids. Finding their points of view interesting in place of limiting. That link for creativity came to an end with Streisand's project. It instead marked the start of a new beginning for the Gibb family. In 2016, Barry put out his second record by himself, In the Present Moment. A work that makes you think deeply. Decades of loss, victory, and growth as a person. It's amazing that all 15 some of the songs on the record were written with Stephen and Ashley, which makes it more than a solo project, but a family project. Really mean it. Barry said that the record was intensely related to. He told Billboard that told them, the album is my view of me life, how I feel, and my journey with me brothers and without my brothers, with and without my parents, and with my own family. Seeing my kids have their own children. Ashley felt like she was a part of that process. It meant adding to music, but to the emotional inheritance of his father, helps to translate a life of putting feelings into song. Not like Stephen, who had been making his own way in stronger styles, Ashley's part in music has been less loud and more quiet. He has never repeatedly gone after the attention, and he hasn't tried to be one. Change his image as a classic performer. Instead, what makes him strong is teamwork, a different point of view, and having mental roots. His trip into the writing of songs wasn't motivated by desire, but by ties to family and memories, and to an artistic goal they all shared. Once Ashley is not in the studio, her life shares the same values. She is married to their Gibb, and Joshua Gibb is their son. Being a dad has helped Ashley understand better off the ideas that run through the present, history, connection, and the passing of time. As Barry saw his own kids grow up, Ashley stood at the center of that generational shift, which includes the Gibb story has grown, Travis Gibb. In contrast to his bigger brothers, who would finally become creative working together with their famous father, Travis saw that as a child the world from a safe distance. He was surrounded by music, famous people, and a legacy. But from a very young age, he leaned toward a different type of steadiness that isn't based on performance or writing songs, but in making a normal life away from the attention. Travis spent some of his time in Miami was the start of what would become central to who he is as an adult. As a child, he was introduced to a mix of cultures, rapid development, and chance, and things that would shape his career path in the long run. There was always music in the background of family life. Travis felt driven to make it their job. Instead, he became interested in business and set up. After all getting ahead in their job as in Miami as a real estate agent, there was no reason to pick real estate over music. A refusal of the history of his family, but rather a development of it in a calmer way form. The same hard work, patience, and long-term thought that made Barry who he was Gibbs's music fit right in. Look into Travis's work life. In a business built on faith and relationships, Travis found a place in time where he could do well on his own without all the links that often watch out for the kids of famous people. Travis has made a name for himself by a solid base for your family that lasts. He is married to Stacey Bash Gibb. They have 2 kids together, Layla and Liam Gibb. The IT looks like fatherhood is at the center. Travis's life and how he acts what makes people happy and successful. Not like the never-ending tour plans and recording events that helped shape a lot of Barry as a young adult, and Travis's path is letting him be fully present, making moments that are on purpose every day and, therefore, deeply important. That solid way of life sometimes shows up on Travis's Instagram, where he posts short a look into his life. Rather than polished moments as a star, his posts often talk about important personal moments and simple pleasures, and enjoying his kids having birthdays, being outside, and even dealing with physically difficult activities like climbing parts of the Appalachians Trail. The pictures in this show me a man who values endurance, time for thought, and getting away from its both physical and figurative noise. When Barry Gibb watched Travis and his brother take care of their own homes, marked one of the most satisfying parts of his life. In 2013, Barry told the truth to The Guardian about how to become a grandfather changed him after decades of living as a rock star around the world. I feel better than I have in a long time, he said. Life. I have 7 grandchildren. I get to remember seeing Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. The sentence caught a big change from stadiums and #1 songs on the charts to cartoons. Having fun and spending quiet afternoons being present is enough. Barry also thought about how fragile success is and just how much he loves life he finally got. I spend a lot of time being glad about what took place, he said, because it might not have any of those hits did happen. That thanks comes through loud and clear. Travis's story. Even though Barry's impact is based on the number of records sold and songs Travis will be known for generations, shows what happened next, the life that success made possible. But didn't he explain, out of all the Gibson boys, Travis stands out because of how discreet he was. He doesn't work with anyone on records or tours worldwide, or get up on stage. Still, his part in the family storytelling is important. He is what balance, where music used to be a big part of almost every waking hour of the Gibb family. Travis's life is like a long breath. After decades of hard work, a reminder that history doesn't have to be loud to be important. Michael Gibb. When Michael got there, his father's reputation as a founder of the Bee Gees was securely in place, and the Gibb home held decades of artistic success, loss, and being strong. Still, from the start, Michael's the story gave hints of a different creativity away that would take him away from writing songs and playing guitar, and not the same kind of show. Michael's the name itself carries a lot of weight, symbolism. This is what Barry and Linda picked to name him: Michael Jackson, his priest, and One of Barry Gibb's best friends. The choice showed not only personal love, but a shared knowledge between 2 big names in pop music who they admired each other's skills a great deal. Having such a moniker as a child, Michael in the middle of huge people and culture, but it also brought out how deeply connected he liked art and making friends. World of parents. Even though they were surrounded, Michael has always loved music and has never felt true to follow the path his dad or my older brothers Stephen and Ashley, who would later marry each other, worked together musically with Barry, where they were drawn to guitars, workshops, and meetings for writing songs. Michael was more interested in stories through the character and the conversation. He was mostly interested in acting, articulation, and the directness of the emotions of doing something rather than the form of music and words. Picking to act over, Michael was able to step into the entertainment business without directly competing with the Bee Gees' long history. Acting gave him something that music couldn't. No, don't. The freedom to fall away into jobs, not to be judged as Barry Gibb's son, the artist, but as a artist looking into different identities in the screen. This difference showed important for someone who grew up under the weight of a well-known last name. Michael finally became an actor, getting paid to play parts in movies like Buddies and Stan the Man. While he wasn't at the top of these projects, in the spotlight in Hollywood, they marked important steps in carving out making his own art. His work showed a readiness to begin small, to start from the very beginning and learn the craft, and to stay in the business without requesting to be famous. Not like the chart-topping jobs that changed a lot Michael's family background, little acting work has been done and cushy. His goal has not been a hit. Fame or being seen on a red carpet. Instead, his way of doing things is like many others character players who focused on getting experience, taking part, and feeling good about yourself rather than generally being known. In doing so, he has quietly changed what success looks like in a family for worldwide fame. Michael's move also brings out that there are many types of people in the Gibb family. A lot of people remember the Bee Gees as Barry's kids are a unified musical force. Represent very different reactions to that history. Stephen took a heavy metal. Ashley learned how to write songs. Later in life by working together, Travis picked work and family. Michael took the lead in getting things stable. Being. When put together, they make a picture. Of a family that views each person as a lot as habit. And for Barry Gibb, seeing his children find their roads, whether they are inside or outside of one of the best things has been the music. Of his later years. Having spent decades getting through fame, stress, and deep, Barry has talked a lot about his own loss, about how happy he is to see his kids live honestly, without stressing over expectations that he himself used to have. The journey of Michael in particular shows that freedom. Being able to don't compare your talent to anything else. Even though Michael keeps a relatively not well known today, his story remains an important thread in the bigger story about Gibb. He's there as proof that being creative doesn't mean one form. Even in the same family, whether it's through music, sports, if you want to do business or act, the urge to create and talk to each other stays the same. What changes is only the medium. Alexandra Gibb, Alex. Getting there years after her. For Alexandra had two older brothers and grew up in a home where the excitement of BGS being a superstar had mostly settled into family life, reflection, and leaving a memory. That time was very important in making her who she is. One said it less by what people expect and more by having emotional intelligence, a broad view, and with quiet confidence. Instead of her brothers, who each found their own way through, Alexandra loves acting, singing, and business. Has always chosen to stay out of fame the light. She grew up near the artistic world that made her who she was, his father's life. Still, she never went after a public life linked to the Bee Gees name. She has had more of an impact on subtle, coming out from behind the scenes moments that show what her special job is and the way the Gibb family works. At one point, it would go on to become one of Barry Gibb's most adored appearances in pop culture. It took place. He mostly did it because Alexandra pushed him to very unhappy and do something. Laugh.at himself. At the start of the 2000s, Jimmy Fallon, then a Saturday Night Live cast member, became well known with a regular. There was a sketch called The Barry Gibb Talk Show. For the spoof, Fallon played a version of With Bigger and Hairier Chests. Barry played music while Justin Timberlake Robin Gibb is his brother. The drawings followed an expected but useful formula: small talk, sudden angry feelings, and an inevitable meltdown. Barry yelling at guests at the end or kicking parts of the set very hard. People loved the ridiculousness, but the real Barry Gibb didn't do that. At least not at first. Ashley Gibb says that Barry at first, the spoof made me feel bad. And not attractive. In 2016, Ashley talked to Billboard. Told them that his dad couldn't watch at first. For a man whose job had been built on honesty, feeling, and the art of making music, the idea of being turned into a cartoon was shocking. So when Jimmy Fallon finally asked Barry is going to be on the sketch himself, Barry's first thought was to say no. The offer meant going straight into the joke while on stage with comedians playing over-the-top versions of himself and his brother who died. It didn't have to, it was just a joke, but being vulnerable. Alex stepped in at this point, seeing something that her father Alexandra told them they couldn't see yet. Barry should say yes to the invite. She was aware that the spoof wasn't making fun of the Bee Gees' history. It was honoring it in a new and loving way. That way. Her words of support helped Barry see not as an insult, but as a chance to link, a bridge between generations of fans who thought of him as a hero and finding him with younger people by being funny. Barry told them yes, and the result was magic on TV. When he arrived on the SNL set wearing a white three-piece suit that matched exactly the same as the sketch outfits that were too big, the mood moved right away. He sang the show as Fallon sings the theme song with Timberlake, pulling all the way into the joke with a friendly sense of security. What used to make people feel bad became famous. Afterward, Stephen Gibb remembered the event. In an interview with Billboard, spoke very clearly. I could see when we walked onto the set there's pee in these guys' pants. They are thrilled that he's there. Stephen said he doesn't know. He doesn't get it. It's so cute. The reply showed Barry's real feelings, being humble in the way Alexandra's push had led him in silence to a moment of changing the culture. How Barry was changed after seeing that picture. Seen by the public. It showed a myth ready to laugh, change, and to get involved with modern pop culture without giving up their pride. And at the Alexandra's impact was at the heart of it, proof that young voices can be heard in the room, can see the best way out, move forward. Even though she played such a, Alexandra has had a moment of fame, stayed incredibly private. She rarely shows up in the news and stays out of public view attention, instead deciding to back her dad and his family from Thea's sideline. Still, she has sometimes become well known for special events that matter. One of those times came in 2018 when she went with Burrito the event for his investiture, and he was praised at Buckingham Palace because of what he did for music. Getting up right next to him in that famous place, Alexandra stood for the next generation of the Gibb family. Be quiet, calm, and deeply linked. What do you think about Barry Gibb's kids? Tell us what you think in the part down below. We hope you found this video is helpful. Do not forget to share, like, and subscribe to click on the channel if you like it. Thanks for seeing this, and see you in the next videos. Thank you.